When talking about the LOC and the LCO methods, people often tend to mention something about their hair's porosity. That's not too much of a surprise because the porosity of your hair plays a big role in how your hair responds to products. Think of your hair strand like a sponge with tiny, tiny pores that have the ability to absorb in molecules. The smaller the molecule, like water or H2O, the more easily and deeper it penetrates into your hair. Here's two examples of what a hair strand looks like when it's magnified. On the right side is a hair strand that's high in porosity, and on the left side is a hair strand that's low in porosity. Let's start with the liquid, cream, oil method. For a hair strand that's low in porosity, when liquid is introduced, it'll slowly absorb what it needs and hold on to it tight. A hair strand with high porosity will quickly absorb a large amount of water and swell, which will make the cuticles lift and open up more than a hair strand with low porosity would. When a cream is added, a hair strand that's low in porosity will slowly absorb a little amount of the water content in the cream. The rest will coat and seal the hair strand. On the high porosity side, a lot more of the cream will be absorbed quickly. A smaller amount will coat the hair, and depending on the cream's pH, will even help relax a lot of the lifted cuticles. When an oil is added, for a hair strand that's low in porosity, there's already a good amount of product coating the surface of your hair. The oil will mix in with the cream layer to create an even thicker coat of products. Depending on how low in porosity your hair is, using both a cream and an oil can make your hair feel really greasy and can create too much product buildup. On the high porosity side, since a lot of the cream was absorbed into your hair strand, the oil and some of the cream will mix to create a more breathable coating. With the liquid, oil, cream method, liquid, of course, is the first step, so it'll do the same thing it did with the LCO method. The low porosity side will take only what it needs and hold on to it. The high porosity side will soak in more water than it needs. When an oil comes after a liquid, for the high porosity side, depending on the type of oil and how porous your hair is, a lot of the oil will penetrate and some of it will coat your hair. The penetrated oil will help the inner part of your hair become more hydrophobic, which temporarily helps hair that's high in porosity not take in too much water, and helps the inner part hold on to the water it needs for a longer time, which is a good thing because it slows down how fast water enters and escapes from your hair. An added cream layer will mix with the rest of the oil layer on your hair strand. Your hair will still be able to slowly soak up the water content from the cream if it needs it. If your hair is low in porosity, it'll respond a little differently to the LOC method. For the oil step, it's best to use a thinner coating oil like argan, jojoba, and sweet almond oil, just to name a few, instead of a thick penetrating oil like coconut oil, because hair that's low in porosity cannot absorb a lot of the oil on its own. So thick oils like coconut oil will most likely just sit on the surface and make your hair dry out faster. So for hair that's low in porosity, a thinner oil will coat the surface but still provide a breathable barrier that will help slow down water evaporation. After the oil layer, a cream layer may initially feel very smooth and slick when applied, but will quickly make your hair feel really product heavy, which may or may not be a bad thing for some, especially for those of you with very dense, full hair. So, which method is better? Well, it depends on your hair's porosity level. Hair that's high in porosity responds well to both LCO and LOC methods, so try both methods out to determine which one you prefer. If you find that you're indifferent, I suggest to stick with the LOC method because the oil layer after a liquid layer does a great job at protecting the inner part of your hair from hydro fatigue. For hair that's low in porosity, both the LCO and the LOC methods will most likely be too much product for your hair at once. If that's your case, remove a layer and try doing just the liquid cream or the liquid oil method. Also, keep in mind that porosity is a spectrum. Everyone fits on different parts of the spectrum, and one head of hair can have different porosity levels. It also depends on the type of cream and oil you're using. Does the cream have a low water content or a high water content? Also, are you using a penetrating oil or a coating oil? With or without the LOC and LCO method, it helps to ask yourself these questions when planning a new moisture retention routine. I thought it would be interesting to show you a little poll I took on the Green Beauty social media pages. As far as preference, the LOC and the LCO methods are pretty much tied. Overall, methods are great for a starting point and for direction, but if you get too wrapped up in them, they can slow down your learning curve. The LOC and the LCO methods are just two ways to slow down moisture evaporation from your hair. If you keep that in mind, you may discover that your hair doesn't need that much product layering to do the job. As long as your hair is retaining moisture and isn't breaking, there's no real right or wrong answer. Here's a really informative video by African Hair God here on YouTube. He shows an experiment where he does the LCO method on one side of his head and the LOC method on the other side of his head. Next week, I'll show you how to do the LOC and LCO methods based on your hair's porosity. As always, thanks for watching. See you in the next video.